Blood Omen Legacy of Kain was a game that I started working on in 1992, was released in 1996, and was a narrative-driven action-adventure where you played a vampire, where you hated yourself, the world hated you and was trying to kill you, and you were the only one that could save the world.
Vae victis, suffering to the conquered. Ironic that now I was the one suffering.
I really enjoyed working on Blood Omen Legacy of Kain because we broke so many rules. And it was a game that was made in the West, an RPG on a console where we used all voice and no text because we took advantage of the medium of the PlayStation 1, where for the first time ever, we had large amounts of voice acting because you could actually fit it on. So we went down to California, worked with all these amazing, talented people, and that game virtually has no text in it at all with a ton of voice.
Nopraptor, your madness has shattered our dreams and blinded you.
Keep your distance, or I'll send you back to hell, spirit!
And I think that was something that really resonated with gamers, where we told deep, dark stories with really good voice acting, and that's where we're heading as well with Deadhaus Sonata. Deadhaus Sonata is a narrative-driven action RPG where you play the undead fighting the living. And the best way I would describe it is we're taking the modern medium, trying to create something with the medium. It would be, if I was to create a game like Blood Omen Legacy of Kain today, what would it be like? Yeah, a little while ago, people saw some concept art float around for Legacy of Kain reboot, and a lot of people always have been asking me, hey, could you work on a new Legacy of Kain? I actually tried. I was the creative lead on that reboot, and for various reasons, it never came together, which was super disappointing. Yeah, I did work on a Legacy of Kain reboot, but it just wasn't in the cards, unfortunately. However, if you're looking for something that has the same kind of voice, dark, narrative-driven, action role-playing game, look no further than Deadhaus, because a lot of the voices that you will typically hear in games like Blood Omen Legacy of Kain or Eternal Darkness will be in Deadhaus.
I think it's ubiquitous with action games that if the combat doesn't feel right, the game doesn't feel right. With Blood Omen Legacy of Kain, we had this old school, top-down, Zelda-like combat system that is still really fun in modern indie games, but I think combat mechanics have come a long way since then. What we want to do with Deadhaus is to bridge that gap, to provide the best of both worlds, a multiplayer experience with controls that feel good and combat that feels visceral.
Deadhaus Sonata does a ton of different things, and I am really going back to my roots. When we did Legacy of Kain, I really looked at the medium and said, let's do something different. We did voiceover for the first time. We have a ton of voices, and so that really broke a lot of norms. With Deadhaus Sonata, we're doing the same thing. I'm looking at the medium and saying, wow, look at how it's changed. It's no longer about being a single-player game sitting in front of your television. Now it's all about multiplayer and co-op. So let's do a narrative-driven game that allows those things. Let's make it free to play so people can try it before they buy it. And if they like what they see, they can spend money if they like to. If they don't want to, then they don't have to. It's going to be very ethical. On top of that, we're going to do something that's called deep social media integration. And that's going to take us back to the early Greek plays. Imagine if thousands of people watching on Twitch are actually able to affect the narrative and the story and the levels. Wouldn't that be something? That's what we're doing with Deadhaus Sonata. And then on top of that, we're going to create and give gamers the tools so they can actually create their own adventures. So many times over the years, I've had people send me stuff. What do you think about this for a storyline of Legacy of Kain? Well, let's create a deep narrative world where gamers can actually contribute as well. I think that that's really cool. These are the three things with Deadhaus that I think people should examine. And if you're looking for something that's breakout, that's not like anything else being made, that's Deadhaus Sonata. And quite frankly, that was Legacy of Kain back in 1996.